Hello amigos, Ramen coming at ya. Toys to Life, a video game mechanic that, for its time, was both revolutionary and creative. The concept was that you would place these figures on some kind of portal of sorts, and you can see your figure brought to life on your screen. It was a novel concept that was really fresh and new, but with a fresh idea came multiple copycats. Companies that milked the Toys to Life mechanic until it was no more. You had Disney Infinity, which is, well, Disney, Cars, Toys, Incredibles, you know, all that. You also got LEGO Dimensions, which was a way for Warner to make money, allowing LEGO to use their IP. Hey, at least we got LEGO Sonic, right? But the first game that started the craze was Skylanders, the game which was originally designed to reboot the Spyro series. Yeah, that turned out great. Skylanders were the pioneers of the Toys to Life craze. Each Skylander game offers something new both in gameplay, characters, and story. Well, since I love Spyro and Skylanders, let's discuss each game one by one. How many are there? Well, like chaos plotting revenge, let's set our sights and discuss every Skylander game and what they have to offer, while also trying to figure out if these games got worse or better. So, grab your lucky Skylander and Portal of Power as we take a journey through the Skylander franchise. Skylander Spyro Adventure seemed like a weird way to bring back a beloved character. I mean, Spyro was pretty much in purgatory with no game in sight. The idea, while stupid at the time, was kinda smart. That was to use Spyro as a way to introduce new characters and a new world. Spyro's name was of course used to sell the game, and for brand recognition. I mean, no one at the time knew what a Skylander was, like, who's this gopher? And why does that bald guy sound like Invader Zim? All good questions that any person getting into this game for the first time will have. The entire purpose of these games at the end of the day were to sell toys. That's how Skylanders made its money back, which honestly was not that really bad of a plan considering many companies will follow suit. Like Disney and LEGO, they already had a bunch of IPs under their belt to use, but Skylander had one, Spyro. With the Skylander game, there is no established character. In fact, they make sure to state that in the opening, with Vion sort of being your guide to Skylanders. You yourself, the Portal Master, are the main character, as you have the ability to bring the Skylanders to life to help you fight. The story is linear as well as the outcome. You can't interact with any characters, they can't respond to you. Think of yourself like Master Hand from Smash Bros. You have control over an army of these creatures whose life is in your hands, and who are frozen until you slap them on a portal. In other words, you are the protagonist. There are a variety of different Skylanders, each one represent the 8 elements that exist within the game. The elements being air, earth, fire, life, magic, tech, undead, and water. Each Skylander you buy can be upgraded and given new attacks and moves. There are 32 total Skylanders within the game, but it all comes down to picking your favorite Skylander. When I was playing the game through special methods, I had access to all the Skylanders, freeing me from the constraints of having to buy more. It also allowed me to access certain levels in this game that are locked if you don't have the right element. If you decide to buy this game for nostalgic purposes, you will be stuck with the basic starter pack, which aren't even that bad as each starter pack for this game includes 3 Skylanders that are different elements. The console and handheld starter packs are different, but they both include Spyro, which over time Toys for Bob phased out. Yeah, get used to that. Spyro stops appearing in these starter packs going forward. You can call it laziness or ego. I call it not using Spyro right in a game called Spyro Adventures. But pettiness aside, the story for this game is as expected. The evil Chaos, voiced by the one and only Richard Horvitz, has destroyed the core of light, which is the source of all magic in Skylands. Chaos also banishes the Skylanders to Earth as toys. I should say marketable toys, because if you think these toys have souls, you're right. These toys have souls, you're in trouble, and you better run. Maybe you're not in trouble, but as a Portal Master, you must use your Portal of Power to bring Skylanders back to Skylands. There are 22 levels you will be exploring. Some levels range from Goo Factory to Grassland to Sky Docks. Each one is unique with their own enemies and boss battles. Skylander plays like a sorta top-down RPG with an added Toys to Life element to each level. Each level feels open and wide to move around, but in order to progress you have to defeat enemies in a surrounding area. this could be very tedious at times, but with the Toys to Life element, it does spice some things up so you don't get bored, as long as you don't kill all your Skylanders. That cooldown timer is the worst. After a boss battle, you get a piece to repair the Core of Light, and there are a lot of pieces. When I was playing this, I thought I was done, but come to find out, the Core of Light needs more pieces. It's like a Lego set that has too many pieces. There are 8 eternal light sources you have to collect that represent each element type for Skylanders. And once you collect all 8 pieces, you defeat Chaos in this very climactic battle that felt like it was never gonna end. You fight Chaos on this mech chair, a 3-headed dragon, Dark Evil Skylanders. I mean, that's a lot. It feels like the developer said, how many Skylanders can we kill before the player gives up? If you die, the Skylander goes on cooldown, as I said before, and you can't use it again. After you defeat Chaos, he is banished to Earth as a toy, never to be seen again until the next game. Toys for Bob and Activision knew they had a hit on their hands, and they were very confident that they were going to get a sequel. Even Eon implies that Chaos will return and our journey is not over yet. The story is not that bad. It's a little lacking in writing at times, with some character interactions, but it's not bad. While we're on the topic of characters, despite being called Spyro Adventures, the game doesn't have returning Spyro characters. The only Spyro character we have is Cinder and Sparks. You gotta buy Sparks, a mainline Spyro character. Not a smart move to lock Spyro's sidekick behind a paywall. That's like a Zelda game without Navi, but the main characters that the game does have are as memorable as Spyro characters. They really make cutscenes really enjoyable, Chaos and Glumshanks being my favorite. I mean, every time these two are on screen, I can't help but laugh. They have a love-hate relationship that I find really amusing. Glumshanks taking Chaos's crap without question and giving it back to him is the best. I really enjoy how good of villains Chaos and Glumshanks are. Like, these two should be in the Hall of Fame of villains. There's also Hugo the Gopher, who's Eon's right-hand man, who's sort of clumsy and gives you your main missions and objectives in the game. There's also Callie, who helps along the journey and offers training to Skylanders. There's also the confident, courageous Flynn, who's voiced by none other than Patrick Warburton himself, aka Kronk. Flynn is the person that takes you from place to place in Skylanders. He also has some of the best lines in this game. Patrick Warburton gave it his all for this game. Every line was comedy gold. Spyro is somewhat present in this game, I guess, as he does narrate the opening, but that's pretty much it. I mean, he is a character you can control. I mean, imagine a Skylander game without Spyro. I mean, is it really a Skylander game? Skylander game sort of was a way to collect and play with your toys in a fun way. There's enough toy variants and level packs that make the first game replayable. The first Skylander game became a huge hit, and it's well deserved. The concept was new and revolutionary. The toys themselves were also creatively made and unique. Going into GameStop and seeing a Skylander on the shelf, buying it and popping it on a portal felt satisfying. The game is not perfect. I do hate the fact that you can't jump in the game. The game has jump pads, which you can use to get to high places. This system sucks. Certain levels, I mean, you can see a gap that you can probably jump, but instead, you have these jump pads. Another complaint I do have are the level restrictions, which incentivizes you to buy more toys to unlock the level. Lucky the game could be completed without buying more toys, but locking loot and cosmetics behind a paywall seems like a certain company, EA. But while the complaints I listed are a problem, the first Skylander game's story, gameplay, creative creatures, and mechanics is what makes this game unique for its time. And now playing it again fills me with a sense of joy and freedom. The first Skylander is perfect. There are some issues here and there, but there's still enjoyment to be had to this day. Following the massive success of the first Skylander game, Skylander Giants feels like a true sequel in every sense of the word. Both the visuals and presentation look great, cutscenes have more polish to them, and certain characters in Skylanders look like they got a little bit of an upgrade, especially Flynn. who looks like the golden god he's supposed to be. Giants builds upon the first game by adding the larger-than-life giants. There are 8 giants, each one representing a different element. We got T-Rex, a powerful life giant with massive wooden limbs and laser-firing eyes. Bouncer, a tech giant who was once a famous robot celebrity, now using his abilities to fight evil. Crusher, a earth giant wielding a massive hammer, known for his strength and ability to crush enemies. Swarm, a air giant who was once a prince of the Bee Kingdom, using his flight and stinger attacks in battle. Hothead, a fire giant with a molten body capable of unleashing fiery attacks. Dumpback, a water giant who was once a pirate using his anchor to smash enemies. Eyebrawl, an undead giant consisting of a floating giant eye and a powerful armored body. Ninjini, a magic giant who was trapped in a bottle for centuries, now using her mystical powers and twin swords. Each giant has unique abilities that make them stand out in battle, but if I had to pick my least favorite giant to play as, it's Ninjini, who's really only useful in close combat. Her ability to go inside a genie bottle sucks. You can upgrade that move to make it more useful, but it plain sucks. I'm also not a fan of Eyebrawl, who is very slow, and whose special attack is very situational. Eyebrawl is fun, but taking on waves of enemies, but kinda leaves the character out in the open to take damage. My favorites were Hothead and T-Rex, as their moves and attacks dealt a lot of damage, especially to enemies, and their upgrades were actually a lot better. In Skylander Giants, you're gonna have to find the giant you like playing as. But the starter pack does come with T-Rex, which in my opinion is the best giant. The Skylander and Giants are the gimmick. They're the focal point of the game, and the story and gameplay surrounds them. Sometimes giants are mandatory to get through a certain part of a stage. Giants has a similar level structure to the first game, with levels being linear and having hidden areas. The levels in Giants also have a big change, with the environments being larger. The game also has notable modes like allowing you to pick your own difficulty. I chose easy because I'm what Chaos refers to as a weak human. If you were me trying to play all these games in 2 weeks, you choose easy too. The game also has an arena mode where you can battle in PvP matches and get stronger. There's also a hero challenge to level up your character, but one of the best additions to Giants that will carry over to other games is the ability for previous Skylanders from other games to be fully compatible. You even get to keep your upgrades and levels from the first game, so it makes all the time and effort from the first game worth it. It's also pretty cool to see your Skylander with a fresh coat of paint. Just like the game that came before it, Skylander Giants has a story that takes place after the events of the first game. The game opens with Chaos being frozen in a toy store. Could be a never-ending nightmare for these toys, to be frozen until they're ready to be used. Kinda like Toy Story in a way, but more dark. So Chaos finds a way back to Skylands and activates the Archean Concretron, a powerful relic that allows him to reactivate the Archean army. With this newfound power, Chaos sets out to take control of Skylands with the Iron Fist. Once again, with the help of the Portal Master being you, the Giants are awakened once again to fight. Throughout your adventure, players travel across Skylands, battling Archean forces, uncovering ancient secrets and lore about Skylands, and face Chaos in a final showdown. I do want to mention something about the boss battles in this game. Just like the first game, the boss battles are arena-based, but the boss battles for Giants are more memorable, with boss battles ranging from wacky like Chompy Mage, to the more insane battles like Robo Chaos. Even on hard difficulty, the boss battles themselves are rather easy to defeat, if you pay attention. Or if you're like me, go gun blazing with your most OP Skylander. The Giants themselves are the core gimmick of the game. There's also new Skylanders like the Series 2 Skylanders, which are fan favorite Skylanders from Spyro Adventures, that have new Wow Pow upgrades and moves. The improvements made on the Series 2 figures, especially with how they look physically, with better detail on the figures, makes the Series 2 figures a steal, especially Spyro or the Goat Pop Fizz, which, I reiterate again, is my favorite character.
That's why he's the goat! The goat!
There's also Lightcore figures that light up when you place them on a portal. These offer in-game benefits, but to me, Lightcore figures are more or less a novelty, not something worth buying. Some of the new Skylanders I enjoyed playing around with were Hot Dog, who is a fire dog who has fire powers, who kind of resembles a Pokemon in a way. There's also Prison Break, who can shoot light out of his diamond hands and place diamonds to reflect his beam at. Sprocket, who just summons turrets when she's in combat. She's not good to play as. There's also Shroom Boom, who just sucks. I mean, a mushroom with a slingshot. Shroom Boom also has a light core figure. I mean, I don't think anybody was asking for a light core Shroom Boom figure, but here we are. Before I forget, something I need to praise this game for is creating a villain like Chaos, who is evil, but there's a layer of vulnerability hidden very deep down. Glumshanks and Chaos make up the majority of the cutscenes in this game, and like the previous game, they're the best characters in this. Sure, Eon is okay, but he's nothing more than a guide. Flynn and Callie, they're great. They serve the plot, but if anything, when I think Skylanders, I think Chaos over Spyro. That's just me. Skylander Giants is a good sequel that builds upon the first game, with quality of life improvements as well as a fresh coat of paint. There's new mechanics for every Skylander. While the idea of Giant Skylander seems kinda lazy to some, they added lore and a reason for Giants to be there, and having 8 doesn't take away from the new Skylanders that are introduced in the game. Both Giants as well as all the new Skylanders are highlighted in this game. The story itself is good with much needed lore, with Chaos and Glumshanks being huge standouts in this game. There's also a 3DS port with a different story and villain, and plays more like a traditional platformer with jumping. Yes, the one thing Skylander lacks is the ability to jump, but apparently the 3DS version has it, which kinda sucks, but Giants is a great sequel that evolves the series forward, with new mechanics and features that keep the game fresh. With the Toys to Life craze picking up, Disney threw their hat in the ring with Disney Infinity. Toys for Bob needed a game to switch things up, something fun and unique. That game will be Skylander Swap Force. With both games releasing in 2013, around the holiday season, these games were direct competitors. But Swap Force had a unique gimmick that made for endless replayability. That being the ability to swap the top and bottom parts of Skylanders, which makes for a unique gameplay experience. There are over 250 combinations to try. You can combine a Fire Skylander with a Water one, a Earth Skylander with a Life one. Each combination changes the way that Skylander moves and attacks. There are 16 swappable figures total, as well as 16 new figures. A few of my favorites are Firecrack swap with Freeze Blade for a deadly fire and ice attack, Stink Bomb and Trap Shadow. I attack people like a skunk with the added fun of darkness. The swappable mechanic is the core focus in this game. There are levels in this game that take full advantage of this system, like these gates that only unlock if you selected a swappable figure. With Giants, while the game was great, the Giants never felt at all special. Only 4 stood out. While Giants felt like a great sequel in some way, it felt like a 2.0 of the first game with a few extra additions to keep the game from not feeling the same. The swappable mechanic feels like there's more possibilities for experimentation. The game feature doesn't distract from new Skylander additions either. Some are pretty cool, like Bumble Blast, this tree that shoots bees, Grimkeeper, a Skylander who can remove his soul and attack, Smolder Dash, who's pretty deadly when it comes to its fire-based attacks. Returning series figures were also revamped, like the iconic Pop Fizz, Trigger Happy, Hot Dog, and even Spyro. These new figures were given new attacks and upgrades. They play better than the Series 1 figures from the first game. Like Giants, this game also has 2 upgrade paths, but it's more complete with cooler powers and moves for characters, although moves still cost a pretty amount. Swap Force both adds new things and improves issues from previous games, like now Skylanders can jump. I know it's not that big of an issue, but the previous 2 games didn't have it. Instead you use jump pads to get to high places. Now each Skylander has a jumping ability. Even ones from previous games can all freely jump, like nobody's watching. Another neat addition is if you fall in the game, you spawn right back where you died. Swap Force is a little more forgiving when it comes to death, although I wish the game would fix its annoying cooldown timer for Skylanders dying. But hey, we can't all have what we want, right? What makes Skylander Swap Force the most interesting in the series are the figures themselves. Reading up on it, the development of this game was pretty interesting. An engineer by the name Gibson was instructed to make figures so the team could have some new characters to work with for the game. While cutting Skylanders into pieces, Gibson sliced open his hand and pools of blood was spitting out, until he was discovered by someone and sent to the hospital. This man cut Skylander figures up and hurt himself. That right there is a true hero. Spyro. Gibson also developed the magnet system for the figures themselves. If Disney Infinity had this level of dedication, they'd take this idea and try it out. Imagine Disney Infinity swappables. I mean, that would go crazy. The plot for Skylander Swap Force is just as good as the story I told. For Skylander Swap Force, the plot revolves around a group of Skylanders known as Swap Force, who were caught in a volcanic eruption and blasted to Earth. But the magic volcano ended up granting the Swap Force the ability to swap halves and create powerful combinations. You, the Portal Master, must stop Chaos's evil plan to corrupt the elementals and turn the volcano evil, so when it erupts, the evil will spread. The Skylanders must stop him, as well as Chaos's mother? Yep, Chaos's mother's in this game, and she is pretty fine. You must stop these two from destroying Cloudbreak Island and all of Skylands. The plot is pretty straightforward like the last game, but like the last game, there's additional lore for these new Swap Force to have a reason for existing, rather than just being a gimmick. The inclusion of Chaos's mother is the best. Chaos bouncing off his mother is my favorite. I also like how she kinda treats Glumshanks with a little more respect than Chaos. Never enjoyed the way Chaos treats Glumshanks, so it's nice to see his mother, while evil, has some sort of respect for him. Returning characters like Flynn, played by Patrick Warburton, return bringing their expertise to flying, and being the only one with the best lines in this game. There's also a new character called Tessa, who becomes your ally and helps you navigate each island. Skylander Swap Force's story is both great and has charm. I love the mix of new and old characters being introduced, and I love Cloudbreak Island. You as the Portal Master have to repair the damage left by Chaos and his minions. By the end of your adventure, Cloudbreak Island looks great. I think what interests me is how each game kinda has a new hub world with new characters and environments. These hubs do become your place where you will upgrade your Skylands as well as train, so I'm kinda happy they don't recycle these hub worlds. Levels in Swap Force, like Giants, take advantage of your new Swap Force. There are 17 levels total, not including the boss battles and the adventure packs. Levels in Swap Force all have a consistent theme. There are jungle levels, island levels, elemental levels. They're all very vibrant with their own sets of evil minions to face off, that for some reason have an announcer to announce their names. Don't know why the game doesn't make any mention of this, but you know, I'm hyped someone's hyping these bad guys up. Let's talk about the boss battles. They need to be mentioned, as they're pretty memorable. Some of my favorites include Mesmerelda, who has this opening ballad that sounds amazing to listen to. Her battle contains a theater, and it felt very fun to play through, with bad guys coming at me and Mesmerelda throwing stuff at me. Another great boss battle was Evil Glumshanks. I don't know, just battling against him and hearing his dialogue was really funny, with Glumshanks doing a poor imitation of Chaos's voice. Super Evil Chaos was the craziest battle. Felt like a Kirby boss battle with different stages. One in his mouth, one on the ground, one in the pitch black darkness. This was the most insane boss battle ever, and I loved every minute of it. Well, except for seeing Chaos and his heart boxers, didn't love that. His favorite boss battle was Chaos's mom. For such a memorable character, she has the worst fight in this game. She gets locked in the mirror, never to be seen again. And if I didn't mention it before, the game also has post-game content in the form of adventure packs. One changes the overall game, and the other is just a fun adventure pack. Overall, Skylander Swap Force is a fun adventure all the way through. There's replayability. Skylander Swap Force puts a fresh spin on the Skylander formula, giving us new mechanics and powers to experiment and mess around with in creative ways. The story adds new lore, new levels, and context for these new figures. Skylander Swap Force's levels feel grand in scale. The game itself is great, with many highs, and it's another great game in the franchise. In the Skylander games, the villains and boss battles are pretty fun and creative. Each boss offers a level of challenge and uniqueness that's rarely seen in most games in this genre. Disney Infinity. You probably thought while playing Skylanders and doing some of these boss battles, the villains are pretty cool. Wish I can play as them. Well, that idea became the core mechanic for a game we know as Skylander Trap Team. Just like any other Skylander game, you go through levels as your favorite Skylander, defeat enemies to reach the end, but there's a twist. Using what this game calls Traptanium, you can trap enemies and have them fight for you. You can switch between Skylanders and villains at any point, provided you wait for a cooldown timer. In the Trap Team starter bundle, you have 2 Traptanium crystals for catching villains. The problem you will encounter is not having the right elemental Traptanium to capture the villains, forcing you to buy more. You can still progress in the game, but not being able to capture certain villains and playing as them is annoying. But because I wanted to try all the villains and play as them, as this is the core mechanic, I found other ways to play this without having to buy traps. After messing around with traps and capturing villains, the mechanic is really fun. There's 47 villains you can trap that correspond to a different element. Some villains even play a role somewhere in the story and must be defeated in order to capture them. Some enemies you can trap and play as are Dreamcatcher, this giant floating lady head, Chef Pepper, who has a pretty cool design and his powers are pretty fun to mess around with. But after so many games, the one villain you get to play as is none other than Chaos the All-Powerful. When I finally captured Chaos, I was playing around for hours. He has the craziest and insane moves in this game. Like, they really gave Chaos an insane amount of powers in this game. Like, it's worth getting the Dark Traptanium crystal and playing. You're not just killing enemies as Chaos, you're taking revenge on them the only way Chaos knows how to.
What is the matter with you? Hold still, Glumshanks!
I'm sorry, Lord Chaos.
Oh, is that thing even on?
Technically, yes.
Good.
But not all villains are great. There are some stupid ones that you capture, like Sheep Creep. Don't know why anyone would want to play as a sheep, but if you want to, you know, he's there. I did capture Sheep Creep, never played as him. Then there's this broccoli guy made of broccoli. I mean, he's kind of like a Kids Next Door villain. They ever made a evil broccoli bad guy? Okay, not every villain you trap is going to be a winner. We're lucky we got Chaos. But I give it to Toys for Bob for being creative with some of the villains and their design. What amazes me is that every villain has voice lines and unique personalities. You can feel that every time you're switching to them. Speaking of which, there are 36 new Skylanders in this game, 18 Trap Masters, which are special Skylanders with Traptanium weapons that unlock elemental gates, and 18 new core Skylanders, which are standard Skylanders with unique abilities. The Trap Masters are similar to Swap Force, in that each one has something special and notable about them. Some include Wallop, Wildfire, Snapshoot. These are the Trap Masters I played the most in this game. These are also the Trap Masters you see in the opening cutscene. As for the core Skylanders, we got some new ones. Some of my favorite were Food Fight, who has a gun that shoots tomatoes. He's kinda on the same level as Pop Fizz, who's one of my favorite Skylanders. Food Fight is also included in the starter pack for this game. Another good Skylander is Threadhead, a bike kind of Skylander. I just like him because I can do wheelies and tricks, and his design is pretty cool. I would say this time around, Skylanders Trap Team doesn't have any good core Skylanders that stand out to me. There's maybe 8 out of 18 that I like. The rest are kinda to me. Trap Team and villains have more overall fun looking designs and powers, as opposed to the core figures. There's also mini Skylanders, which are kinda like baby versions of Skylanders and are as powerful as core figures. Seeing a baby trigger happy is pretty funny. As for the story of Skylander Trap Team, the game follows the Trap Masters, elite Skylanders who were once imprisoned by the Doom Raiders, a gang of powerful villains locked in Cloudcracker Prison. Chaos, being, you know, evil, destroys the prison, freeing the villains and scattering Traptanium shards across Skylands. This story has a few twists and turns, with Chaos teaming up with Flynn and crew, along with Skylanders, to stop the Golden Queen. Of course, Chaos does this out of jealousy, as the Doom Raiders won't listen to Chaos, so Chaos enacts a plan of sabotage to stop the Golden Queen. Chaos and Glumshanks have it the worst in this game, with Glumshanks being a servant to the Golden Queen, and Chaos being tortured by Wolfgang. Chaos does get his revenge at the end, of course, like every Skylander game. He even breaks the fourth wall talking to the audience, which kind of freaked me out a bit watching the cutscene.
Surprise! I can see right through your ridiculous television device. Now, prepare yourself, loser master, to meet your unimaginable doom at the hands of Ultra Traptanium-powered Chaos!
But after you defeat Chaos, Skylander Academy is saved, Flynn receives credit for his heroics, and Eon sets up the next game because it never ends.
Your journey with your Skylanders and the Trap Team is only just beginning.
The story for Trap Team, just like previous games, is good. The new inclusions of the Trap Team as well as more expanded lore is interesting. The Doom Raiders, while goofy looking, well, some, Dreamcatcher still scares the crap out of me. The Doom Raiders are formidable villains and make for great bosses. I do want to highlight the inclusion of Skylander Academy in this game. Not only is it a hub world for upgrades and training, but funny enough, we got a Skylander show called Skylander Academy, in which new Skylanders train, have fun, and also defeat chaos. That's the entire basis of that show, which I find pretty cool. You know, take something from the game and turn it into a show. I kind of like that idea. I did need to discuss the levels in Skylander Trap Team, which there are a total of 18. Certain levels have elemental gate areas which require specific trap masters to unlock. These offer bonus in-game rewards and cosmetics. There's also swap zones from previous games, which offer puzzles and a level of challenges. Nothing new was added in these levels besides the different environments you go through. There's small tweaks to keep each level fresh and not stale, but overall, if you play the Skylander game, you're playing it for its new mechanics and new added Skylanders. Skylander Trap Team was on every system when it was out, but the 3DS version was more unique, as when you trap the villain, you see them on the bottom of the screen. You can poke, spin them, and interact with them before you summon them. The 3DS games, despite the hardware limitations, really use the game to its full extent. The 3DS version even has different figures in the starter pack that work across all consoles, because it wouldn't be a Skylander game if the figures weren't able to work on every game. Skylander Trap Team is another unique and fun entry in the series. Personally, while I do think Trap Team has fun mechanics, I wouldn't put it on the level of Swap Force due to the sheer fact that its mechanic requires you to buy more traps to play as the villains. There are limitations in places that hinder some enjoyment, but I do think the story and gameplay is good just like previous games. 2015 was a crazy time for Toys to Life, with LEGO Dimensions being released and Disney Infinity continuing to make new toys and sets. Toys for Bob made their most experimental game in the Skylander series, that combined racing and action-adventure platforming to create Skylander Supercharge. In Supercharge, there are two primary gaming styles. You have vehicle play, in which you use a land, water, and air vehicle to complete set objective in certain sections of the level. Then you have platforming, which play like previous Skylander games, in which you choose a Skylander of your choice. The main mechanic in Supercharge, while it is fun, it does feel like there's two play styles that don't work well together. These air, land, and sea segments in the game kinda took away the enjoyment I had for the Skylanders themselves. It doesn't help that these vehicle segments drag out longer than a Skylander segment. In Supercharge, if you pair the right Skylander with a vehicle, it becomes Supercharge, making it powerful. At first, you really don't notice a change between regular vehicles and supercharged vehicles. That's because you have to upgrade each vehicle by collecting gear bytes. These allow you to upgrade weapons, shields, and add vehicle mods. So while it is frustrating to not notice the way the vehicle feels or just the way the vehicle even looks at first, upgrading it through gear bytes, you can make that supercharged car pretty much unstoppable. Supercharging a vehicle increases the speed, not the way the vehicle functions itself. That you have to grind for. What's pretty cool about Supercharge is that there are Skylanders from previous games, but what bothers me about that is that some of these Skylanders are given this cool Mad Max style look to them. Like, for example, Eruptor has his ability to use a lance as a pogo stick, which, it's pretty sick, but little touches like that are forgotten because you have to pair a Skylander to a vehicle just to finish the level. But Supercharge does have some good things about it that make it fun. The boss battles themselves do utilize the vehicles very well. They're not all perfect, but I do like this more than the vehicle portions being placed in weird parts of the level. Another thing that Supercharge has going for it is the overall look and aesthetic. The game itself is a little post-apocalyptic, with a charming mix of Mad Max. Old returning characters like Stealth Elf, Trigger Happy, Spyro, Eruptor have a new look, clothing, and weapons to fit with the overall vibe. And that vibe I'm talking about makes sense with the overall story for this game, in which Chaos, yeah, he's back again and he's finally taken over Skylands with a device called the Sky Eater, a doomsday device powered by the darkness that devours the sky in Skylands. As a result of this doomsday event, this also severs the connection between Earth and Skylands, cutting off the Portal Master, which is you, and their connection to Skylands. To stop him, Master Eon assembles the Superchargers, which happen to be some returning Skylanders from previous games. OGs, if you will. Superchargers are a team of Skylanders who pilot special vehicles powered by Rift engines. Your goal? To restore the portals and save Skylands from destruction. While the gameplay for Supercharge is a mixed bag, the story is the best part about this game. There's a sense of finality to it. It's darker than other Skylander games and has a lot of growth for a few key characters. But the main ones I do want to highlight are Chaos and Glumshanks. Throughout the Skylander games, Chaos and Glumshanks have had this odd couple dynamic that make them work so well together, with Chaos having the dream of taking over Skylands and Glumshanks being by his side to support him, despite him being Chaos's punching bag. In Supercharge, when the darkness finally takes over, Chaos is manipulated by it to get rid of Glumshanks, leading to Chaos firing him. A decision Chaos will soon regret. Glumshanks, after getting fired, does everything he can to help the Skylanders escape, even getting tossed into the darkness. And this scene is really tense. There's this slow-mo scene that straight had me in tears. Just seeing Glumshanks being tossed into the darkness felt cinematic. Back to Chaos, we're at the final countdown where the darkness can take over. Chaos imagines Glumshanks talking to him, telling him what he's doing is wrong. It's clear even after Chaos presses the button for the darkness that he misses Glumshanks and doesn't want to do this. His goal is to take over Skylands, and without Skylands, Chaos doesn't have a purpose. In the final climax, Chaos is sick of being mistreated and kills the darkness with the Rift engine. And Skylands is saved, but not really. There's a fake out credit sequence with this generic song that plays that sounds kinda corny. The darkness pops out and you must kill him. After you do that, everyone celebrates. Chaos, along with Glumshanks, announces he will be an evil consultant for Skylander Academy. Supercharge gives characters like Chaos, Glumshanks, Flynn, Callie a time to shine. This game truly feels like the closing of a really great franchise. With all the pieces tied together, I mean, you fight the equivalent of Thanos in this game. The darkness, where else is there to go? I do want to touch on the Skylanders themselves. In Supercharge, there are 20 new ones. Well, that's not a lot like previous Skylander games. All Skylanders from previous games are playable. There's some neat Skylanders in this game like Dive Chop, who's this eyeball with a dive suit. He's pretty fun to play as. His signature vehicle that can be supercharged is called Dive Bomber. There's also Spitfire, who you will see in the opening cutscene of this game. He's kind of a dragon made of fire. His vehicle is Hot Streak, and Spitfire comes with the starter pack for this game. But then there are figures that are only exclusive to Nintendo systems, that being Donkey Kong and Bowser. These Skylands have really fun upgrades that change the way they play, and even have their own exclusive vehicles, which makes these figures incredibly rare. These figures also have amiibo compatibility, allowing you to use them for anything that amiibo works on, Smash Bros being one of them. But my problems stem from the fact that Nintendo kinda made these figures exclusive to their console. So say you don't have a Wii U and only a PS3, you pretty much miss out because you know what? It's Nintendo. But I'm gonna say, these exclusive figures, they're kinda worth it. But what's not worth it are the vehicles. There are 20. The starter pack does come with one vehicle, but technically you don't need a vehicle. The game will automatically assign you a default one. For collectors collecting the vehicles and toys, it's exciting, but for people like me on a budget, it's not worth it. Don't get me wrong, I will kill for a Bowser Clown Cruiser, but I don't have Clown Cruiser money. Vehicles aside, the various boss battles, which there are a lot, even the final boss, the Darkness, is incredibly fun. Every boss in this game was not bad. I couldn't find a bad one in sight. But Supercharge also has a racing mode, which I'm pretty sure when this game had a server you could race with people, but racing is pretty much what you expect, although it could be a tad glitchy. I played this mode once. It's nice to have something to use my cars on, but it's not really something I'll come back to. Most people in the Skylander community or fans would agree, gameplay-wise, Skylander Supercharge is a mixed bag. While there are good parts, there's a few bad parts. One being the vehicles, they kinda get in the way sometimes. Some levels implemented well and some don't. The only reason I kept playing this game was the story. As every Skylander fan will agree, the story is the best part of Supercharge. It's dark, comedic, and gives much needed characters a redemption arc. Skylander Supercharge to some is the finale. At the end of every game, Eon kinda teases the next game. In this one, he doesn't, and I believe it's for a good reason. Supercharge, while not being my favorite game to play, it has the best story out of the previous Skylander games. And to me, if a story has a good ending, why make another game? Now we reach the last game in the series, and it's one of the worst ones by many critics. A game, while inventive and creative in a way, undoes a lot of the story beats from Supercharge. That game in question is Skylanders Imaginators. Skylander Imaginators puts the power of creativity in the player's hand. by allowing Portal Masters to make their own Skylander. With their own moves and abilities, you can pretty much make anything. I created the Skylander called Purple Flurp using the Fire Elemental Creation Crystal. Custom Skylanders do play just like any other Skylander. Imaginators, as they're called in this game, can learn new moves and gain new weapons and ultimates by using what this game calls senseis. These are returning Skylanders from previous games such as former villains and heroes. Senseis range from Chompy Mage, the Golden Queen, Chaos. Senseis develop a master to apprentice relationship with your Skylander. This relationship will grant you an increased level, special areas in the game, and crazy special moves. There's even 2 exclusive guest figures within the game, Crash Bandicoot and Neo Cortex. This game marks the return of Crash, who we haven't really seen in decades. Toys for Bob really nailed Crash's moveset and gameplay. They play just like they were taken from the actual Crash Bandicoot game. I like playing as a sensei and villain guest stars a lot more than my Imaginator. To be honest, don't get me wrong, while creating your own Skylander is a dream of mine, it doesn't help that you can't make another Skylander if you choose the wrong battle class. You're pretty much stuck with that Skylander until you can buy more creation crystals, which seems kinda bad, because if your target audience are kids, you're depriving them of being able to make more Skylanders. You know, the main gimmick of your game. While Skylander Imaginators play like previous Skylander games level-wise, the levels themselves are short and brief. I was never invested in any level in this game due to how brief every stage was. Sky Fortress and Chaos's Lair were probably my only favorite levels in this game. There are 10, not including the adventure packs. This game's levels are all over the place and feel similar to levels I played in other Skylander games. And the reason for that are because of the budget constraints. The development team for Imaginators put their full attention into the Imaginator system, and less on the game. There's reused portal animations which are taken from Supercharge. The game uses the same engine from previous games. There are so many issues that plague this game that it's no wonder it was rated so low. But the one thing I hate about this game is the story. And that's due to the fact that they made Chaos a villain again, which ruins his whole arc from Supercharge. Another thing that I dislike about this game is its weird pay-to-play mechanic. Some areas are locked unless you have a sensei, forcing people to buy more figures and creation crystals. A single creation crystal houses a single Imaginator and cannot be changed, forcing you to have to rush to buy more figures. There's also rare figures like Robo and Windstorm, which are very hard to find and expensive on eBay. I found this out through the Skylander community. These things are insanely, crazy expensive. These are not the themes of Skylanders. And it's insane because while doing research for this video, I found out this game was still being developed after Trap Team. Toys for Bob could have done something to not make players feel like they have to buy more creation crystals. Trap Team was perfect, levels were good, the Skylanders themselves were inventive, the new gameplay mechanic of trapping villains was so great. So going to that to this feels like something happened because Imaginator's mechanics should have been good. The fact that the game forces you to buy more figures and locks content behind said figures in order for you to enjoy the mechanic itself is awful. The target audience for these games are kids, and at times collectors. This game breaks any goodwill Skylanders have built up. Speaking of something that's really not special, the story for this game is not. This story is one of the worst in the Skylander franchise. The villain Chaos discovers the ancient power of mind magic, which was once used by the ancients to create everything in Skylands. He uses the power to create an army of Doomlanders to take over the world. The goal is, you as a Portal Master must create Imaginators, which are custom Skylanders trained by senseis to battle Chaos and his forces. The story itself as well as the cutscenes were bad. Half of the cutscenes were filled with weird, cringe dialogue that felt almost out of place for a situation that's supposed to be taken seriously.
Well, you know something, jerkbag? I've got some shocking news for you, too. I'm the one who stole your lunch earlier.
Chaos!
Why was that said? Did that need to be said? Why does Jeff Vac care? The biggest character assassination is what the story does to Chaos and Glumshanks, who by the end of Supercharge found their place among Skylands in Skylander Academy. Now, after being defeated in this game, the brain who was manipulating Chaos ends up on the good side, and Chaos and Glumshanks are locked in a jar. I kid you not, a jar. Almost like the events of Supercharge didn't happen. Like Chaos didn't prove himself to be a hero in Supercharge. Say what you want about Supercharge, but the game itself had very cinematic cutscenes. As I stated previously, there was a sense of finality to the game, both looks and feel of it. Like Skylander Imaginators lacks any respect for Chaos and Glumshanks. The only good thing I can say about this game is, we got Pop Fizz going beast mode on Chaos. That was cool until he fell from the sky. I guess seeing Spyro front and center in the story and not being mind controlled and saving Skylands was pretty awesome, and the ending with Crash and Neo where it becomes a party kinda made this game's story a little better. All I can say is Skylander Imaginators has a unique concept for a game, which is creating your own Skylanders, but it fails to feel like a Skylander game in both story and gameplay at times. It's fun for a bit, but then there's this pay-to-play thing that gets in the way. Imaginators was the nail in the coffin for the franchise. A franchise that had a definitive conclusion with Supercharge, but this game brought the end to Skylanders. Imaginators, while there are some good things, the bad things this game has cancel out any goodwill. The Skylander franchise was very ambitious. It took a lot of imagination to create each figure in Skylander and make it work for every game in the series. People like myself love these games for its fun and replayability. Each and every Skylander themselves have personality, so it's hard to pick one from the massive lineup of characters. Each game in the series evolved the mechanics, created new worlds and levels. While many fans will agree that Supercharge was the last game, each game offers something different and new. Not one game feels the same, and to me, that's a good thing. This series is beloved so much because of the story it told, the lore, and of course the Skylanders themselves. So much that a show called Skylander Academy was made to give those fan favorite characters more depth. Throughout my journey playing all these games, it was a struggle at times. I'm just happy that I got to see Skylanders in a better light and appreciate the series for what it was, through its many highs and lows. My name is Ramen. Peace out.